and welcome to the Right Brain Cafe podcast. My name is James, and I am alone this week, and that is because Regina took quite a tumble and is recovering. So, if you believe in the power of prayer, or if you believe in sending positive vibes or energy, whatever that is, Regina could definitely use some of your positive energy, your vibes, your prayers, whatever it is, so she can feel better faster. I wanted to have a very quick episode because I recently went to the Philadelphia Zine Fest. So I'm going to talk about that, my experience. I bring this up a lot. Going out into the public with your creative projects is the way to go. If you don't follow us on Instagram, it's at Worms Horror Zine. Just go to bookwormshorror.com. You can buy our zine. And all the important links are in the show notes, so check those out. Please like and review and follow this podcast. It helps spread the word, and really would appreciate that. So the Philadelphia Zine Fest, I went online to get a table, but they were sold out. And they said, hey, get on the wait list. So I did. I didn't expect anything to happen. I just figured I'll put my name on the wait list. Now, I have my own health issues that have been going on in the past 2 weeks. I guess it's been 2 weeks at this point, almost 2 weeks, where I went in for a procedure. I got out, I was recovering, and then 2 days before the Philly Zine Fest, I got an email saying, hey, there is an opening. Do you want to take this table? And then I was like, oh my God, can I do this? I just got out of, a procedure. I'm recovering. It's in like 2 days. Will I be good enough? And I was like, that's the thing where you got to make a decision. And when I went online, I realized the table was very, very cheap. So I was like, well, that's a no-brainer. So I decided yes, I will buy this table and I will go. It was at Temple University. So I had to decide, how am I going to get down there, right? Am I going to drive? But there's a train that lets you right off on the campus. So that was the smartest decision, was to just take the train down and go to the place. So I did that. I got up very early. The night before, I packed up all the stuff I needed, all the stuff for my zines, how to display it, all kinds of cool stuff, everything I would need. This, I will say, is the first event that I tabled at. So I took everything I thought I would need, and I think I did a pretty good job. I got down there, got on a train, got down there. I was the first one at the door of the building that they were hosting this event in. And the doors opened at 9 a.m. I was there probably a little after 8. I actually have a bunch of pictures I posted on Instagram if you want to check that out. So I'm the first to arrive, and then shortly after, a group of young ladies show up. And I quickly realize that I'm in the minority of people that will be tabling at this event. So there was definitely a lot of females and a lot of LGBTQIA people, which I'm okay with. However, I look like the enemies of these people, right? So I look like the typical white middle-aged man. And I'm sure they immediately have, just upon seeing me, repulsion. At least that's how I feel. Because we were trying to have conversations, like we were talking about, oh, is this the right door? What time does it open? What did you hear? I tried to get information about, what table people think they might want. Because it was a first come, first served table situation. And every time I opened my mouth, I had this feeling of like, ew, don't talk to us. And maybe that's me just being me and feeling this. But that was my first impression of this event, was these are a lot of very young, hip people, and I look the completely opposite of that. I don't look like an ally, but I am. And if you get to talk to me, you won't feel that way. But at first glance, that's the kind of guy I probably look like. At least that's what I think. So we waited about an hour. They finally opened the doors. I'm the first one in the door. I pick a beautiful spot at a table. The venue is just beautiful. It's called Mitten Hall. Just a beautifully constructed building, very old. And I took about a half hour to set up my stuff. As I was setting up, a young woman, probably around, I think she's 23, came up, asked if she could, because you had to share the table. You spent the money on the table, but you had one half, somebody else had the other half. And she's like, hey, can I share the table? And I'm like, absolutely. And she was a delight to be with for that day. I was very happy because it kind of was the complete opposite of the experience I had at the front door. She was just really nice, really talented, really easy to talk to. And that is just perfect for me because I come across shy probably until I get to know you. So she was very easy to talk to, very talkative. It was a great table mate to have. I was very lucky with that. And the reason why she came to that table was because of the same reason I did. It looked like a beautiful spot, and I agree. It was in front of this huge window. It just was a great location. We both started setting up. 9 o'clock was like the time you came in, but the actual event started at 10. It was a free event. People come in, and it went on until 5 o'clock. But I would say as it began, I felt like, this isn't really working out. Like, I don't think anybody's ever going to buy anything. I looked around. There's so much talent out there. My first feelings were, I don't know if I'll do this again because it doesn't seem to really be paying off. And here's my thought. If you're going to do an event, can you sell enough to pay for the table and whatever expenses that it took to be there? This was an easy, like, yeah, I only have to probably sell 2 zines and I'm set. So I was like, okay. And I thought it would be much easier. So I'm like, it doesn't feel like it's as easy as I thought, sitting here waiting for somebody to buy something. And then it picked up. People started buying. And this is where I had this wonderful aha moment about how these events work. You're not going to please everybody who walks in that front door. That person comes in the front door. They have a limited amount of resources that they want to utilize on things they're going to find there. And you will find your people. You will naturally have people come over and you will gravitate towards the person who kind of gets you, who gets your art. It's not about winning over everybody who comes to your table. It's about finding the people who belong in your clan, who belong in your tribe. That was very valuable. And I was selling and I was surprised. It's different if you're like the only person in the room, but when you got so much competition for people's money and somebody comes over and decides to pick up your zine and buy it, well, that's something really special. But on top of that, you have a conversation with this person and you realize you have so much in common or you have similar values. That's where it is. That's where the connection is made. It's not so much, sometimes it is the art. You see it, you have to have it. But if you talk to that artist, a lot of times you're like, wow, I really like how this artist thinks and I want to support them. I enjoyed talking up Worms Horror Zine. I enjoyed talking about our theory of analog and getting off the internet and getting off your phones and sitting down with something tactile and reading and supporting horror writing and fiction. And so I had so much to talk about and so many other people were really into those conversations and I got to learn and meet a lot of great people and other artists. And so that was the other thing that I was nervous about was I would walk around the room and there are, like I said, some amazing, amazing artists out there. And I was just so impressed. And I'm like, wow, why would somebody go to my table and pick up this if they got this, over here? But that's because sometimes the thing that calls to them is specific to your art. People came over and they saw the Jaws style cover of one of our bookworms and they're a Jaws fan and they were, wow, that's great. I'm buying this because of that. We had rock and roll horror issue actually did okay selling. And some people, what was surprising to me was how the name with Grady Hendrix on the cover really was not the selling point here. And this is sort of a DIY fest and what sold people was the DIY aspect of Worms Horror Zine, not so much that it was Grady Hendrix. And so I thought that was going to be something people are like, oh, Grady Hendrix, I got to have it. That wasn't the case at all. It was more like, hey, this is really cool. You made this. I like it. I want it. I will absolutely do the Philly Zine Fest next year and every year as long as I'm doing this, because it was inexpensive. It was fun. I got to meet a lot of people, and it made me pumped to create. I left there just wanting to create more art and have more things to offer than just the zine next time. A lot of times with the Worms Horror Zine, Regina or myself, we do cartoons in there, like maybe having some original artwork or prints of some of the art that was in Bookworms Horror would be fun next time. Now, I am doing another event on December 7th in Jersey, and that's called the Horror Sideshow Market. And that sounds like my audience, but I don't know. But the thing I took away most was you don't have to sell to everybody who comes to your table. One, I want people to know it exists. And two, I want to meet the people who really are looking for that type of thing. So you're trying to find your people, and you're trying to let them know this is out there. And so I had business cards. So if they didn't purchase anything, they at least left knowing that Bookworms Horror Zine is a thing. Look, the science of happiness is all about human connection, in-person human connection. And I've been making that a goal for Bookworms and myself, of getting out into the real world and meeting real people. And it has made me happy each time. And it's just worth doing if you're an artist. It should be, that's your first line, right? You get out, you meet people, and then send them to your Instagram. Not the other way around where, hey, follow me on here, follow me on here. They don't even know who you are, right? I think trying to get out and meet people, then they're like, oh, and this is exactly what happened. I went, people I met there are now my Instagram friends, and I met them in person. I had conversations with them. I had their art and share their art, and it's based off a real human connection experience, and that's so much more valuable than just a like and a follow that with somebody you've never met. Now, that doesn't mean that if you have somebody you follow online and you feel like you're online buddies, that you shouldn't also go meet them in person if they're at a show, because then that's going to take that relationship to another level. So, takeaways, do events for whatever art you are trying to do. If you're an author, get out there to any kind of these books. There's local author events. If you're a fine artist, there's craft events, right? Get out there, but then do the math. Don't bury yourself in debt because of this, because some of these tables can be very, very, very expensive. So you want to find something that you feel like you can afford and that you think you might make or at least break even for that event. And then when you're there, don't be a wallflower. And I think that for our artists, that's the hard part. And I'll tell you, from both sides of the table now, when I'm at an event and I'm walking around and I'm looking at people's stuff, I'm much more closed. I want to be open. I want to have conversations, but I find that I'm much more closed off and nervous about starting up a conversation. But being at the table and being behind the table and promoting Bookworms, I found myself much more open to start a conversation because they came to the table and all I had to do was say hello. I don't have to I'm not like a car salesman. What I did was somebody came over and was like, hey, how you doing? Greet them. And then be like, hey, this is what I do. This is Bookworms Horror Zine. It's a quarterly zine that we do for horror fiction. It's got games. It's got comics. It's all limited runs. We do very short print runs. Once it's gone for good, which that was another thing. And I discovered people really love the idea that it's a very limited thing. And that makes it special. And that helped sell the zine as well. And that's part of the philosophy of Bookworms, is to make real things that are special and limited, that when you have it, you have something special in your hands. So I had a wonderful time. Oh, my friend Jake showed up, and he gave me a ride home, but he showed up. He does T-shirts, tie-dye style T-shirts, all that stuff. And so he might go next year as well, because he saw a lot of people there selling T-shirts. So try to get out there, make human connections. I think that will help with your happiness if you need a happiness boost, but I also think it will increase your audience and make people, look, people are buying people. They're buying the zine because they know myself or they know Regina, and they met us. They might buy the zine because they heard about the zine and they liked the zine. They heard about Grady Hendrix, but they're not going to keep buying it if they don't like the people making it, right? Go out and make friends in the art community and make friends with your customers. And I think you'll find it is 100% worth it. I will follow up after the December show to see if I had a similar experience. But like I said, meeting people and talking about your craft, it's a great high, and I think you're going to enjoy it if you do it. All right. Peace.